Hello, everyone. Massive here, and welcome back to me. I am back. Hello, hello. I have been on a massive hiatus, mainly just from burnout from making Pokemon content. If people are actually wondering where I've went, but I am back. I haven't taken a break from Draft League at all. I've been doing Draft Leagues for ages, and I never plan on stopping. No matter how many you see me do, I will never burn out from these things, hopefully. But we are back with the Soldew Association, bleh, a singles 66 draft league. We're in the Latios division, which is an upload required division, which means we are going to have some games. I'm going to put in some games. So, you must be wondering why. Well, I kind of wanted to hope that I get back out of this burnout with doing an upload required division. So yeah, you might be wondering, what is the first Pokemon I have in this roster of Pokemon that I have drafted this time around? Well, it is Urshifu. I am so surprised that I actually managed to get this thing. I was 17 out of 18 players, the 17th player out of 18, which means this thing went 17 rounds, and I somehow got this thing. Um, Common moves, this thing normally runs Surge and Strikes Close Combat. It can either be run as a Wall Breaker with like Banded sets, it can clean up with Scarf, or just Sword Stance plus Trailblaze. Trailblaze is a huge buff for this Pokemon, being able to actually outspeed some faster Pokemon. So yeah, I am excited for Urshifu. Normally I prefer my waters to be bulkier, but Urshifu at least has the bulk to actually withstand some threats. Okay, second pick is Latias. Uh, one of the members of the Eon duo. I've been wanting to draft this thing in singles for ages. I love this Pokemon in singles because it can be offensive, it can be supportive with things like Healing Wish. Obviously, it can go offensive, as I said, with stuff like Draco Meteor, Psychic. It has some coverage which can definitely help it out, like Shadow Ball. Levitate's really nice for switching purposes, so it can just switch in on ground moves. Also, kind of nice that the Misty Terrain, I think, doesn't lower the damage of its Dragon type moves. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But Dragon, being a defensive Pokemon, is going to be really nice because of all the nice resistances Fire, Water, Grass, Electric, as well as also just the Psychic resistance of fighting. Like, fighting resists are semi hard to come by, so having a really reliable one is going to be really nice. Okay, next up, I was holding my breath for this Pokemon. I didn't know if it would make it back to me, and it somehow the heck did. It is Heatran, another Pokemon that I've actually kind of been interested in drafting for a while now, and mainly just due to its defensive nature. Fire Steel are two incredible defensive types. Put them together, you get a really defensive Pokemon. A 4 times resistant to U-turn, a 4 times resistant to Fairy, which is massive for my first two Pokemon, which are both weak to Fairy. Magma Storm's a really nice trap tool. It's a really good Stealth Rock setter. It can potentially sweep end games if you're not really prepared for it. Steel Fire's an okay offensive pairing. Kind of gets walled by fire types. Not fire types. Yeah, it gets walled by fire types. Without earth power, it gets walled by steel types. No, not steel types. What's the type that I'm thinking of? Water. It gets walled by water types. But Heatran is a Pokemon that I'm excited to use. And next up is a Pokemon that, again, I wasn't expecting to get, but we got Rillaboom. Grassy terrain setting is really nice for longevity on a lot of Pokemon. Giving everything literally leftovers recovery is going to be amazing. Potentially really good Pokemon for stopping sweeps if they're on low HP because of Grassy Glide. Nice pivoting with U-turn. I'll tell you the grassy terrain on this Pokemon's definitely going to come up for one of my later picks, but Rillaboom, really strong, doesn't get the best coverage, but it does give me knockoff support for just removing items. And if you're not really good to handle grass types, this thing could definitely punch some holes in some teams. And obviously has speed control with Drum Beating, as you can see down here. Goodbye, Morpeko. But the next Pokemon is a Pokemon that I've seen do incredible work. Hang on. Sorry. But I've seen this Pokemon do incredible work, and yeah, that is Glastrier. An Ice type Pokemon that can definitely go offensive with the pairing of Icicle Crash and High Horsepower, which is a really hard type duo to switch into. Ground and Ice, it's why Mamoswine's so good. But Glastrier also can stab with Sword Stance. It's really bulky. The only downside really is its Ice typing. But you'll see why that isn't such a big issue in a few rounds. But next up after Glacier, sure, honestly, Glacier doesn't really do much else, to be fair. Next up is Rabombi. I'm excited for this thing. I love Rabombi so much as a singles Pokemon. It's so versatile in what it can do. One week it could be spamming Choice Specs Moonblast, the next it could be a lead stand up Sticky Webs, or it can be a cleanup sweeper in the end game with Quiver Dance. This thing has decent coverage in Energy Ball. The only thing is it kind of gets rocked by fire types, as it doesn't really have much coverage for them. But apart from that, it's a really nice support. It's a really nice wall breaker, potential wall breaker, depending on how I build it, and a potential really nice cleanup Pokemon. And yeah, I'm just also excited to use this thing because Rabombi, Rabombombi. Next up is Hisuian Quillfish. As pick 7. This Pokemon sets up hazards. That's mostly all it does, but it can also go offensively if I wish to with its kind of really good Poison Dark typing. Only weak to ground, which Rillaboom is kind of a free switch in for most of that, but Eviolite Hisuian Quillfish is really bulky, which means a lot of Pokemon aren't really going to have the capabilities to bring it down, which I really wish I could have got Overquill to be more offensive with that poison typing, but having something that can remove Toxic Spikes as a grounded poison type, as well as also a Pokemon that can set Toxic Spikes itself all in one, really nice, plus obviously can also set up Spikes. And Destiny Bond, because Destiny Bond is actually cool. Next up is Regieleki, which normally in singles with Terra enabled, this thing can go ham with Terra, Ice, and obviously its electric moves. This thing obviously gets completely walled by ground types and also grass types in most scenarios. Basically anything that resists electric, but it forces people to think that they need something for Regieleki or it's going to wreck them. Base 200 speed means nothing can really outspeed it unless like this thing barely has any speed investment, which I don't think it's ever not gonna. It's gonna outspeed us a lot of boosted speed mons as well as also a bunch of choice scarf mons. Gives me rapid spin support, which is really nice at dealing with hazards, which can definitely help out my team in longevity. And then obviously just spam Thunderbolt or Thunder or even Thunder Cage. Trapping something in that can't deal with a Lecky is gonna be really nice. But yeah, Regieleki can also just blow up for momentum. It also has Volt Switch for momentum, which is insane. So yeah, if you don't deal with a Lecky, you're probably gonna get zapped by it until you're dead. But yeah, after Regieleki, I grabbed Enamorous Furion. I've already used this thing in singles, and I loved it the last time, so I'm using it again. Mainly because I wanted a decent flying type Pokemon, as well as also something that's more defensive on the fairy spectrum. Because Rabombi is frail, and Amorous is really bulky. Stand up Calm Minds with the boosted power of Moonblast and Earth Power. Fairy plus Ground is really difficult to switch into. So having that pairing to just go boom, boom, boom is difficult. Plus it has fire coverage, which is really rare for fairy types this generation. So it has stuff to deal with steel types, and poison types, and electric types, and rock types, and ice types. It has a super effective move for every single one of its weaknesses. So yeah, Enamorous. I am excited to use it again because it can punch holes. It can be a defensive core Pokemon. Um, Try sporing this thing and it'll probably just beat you. Anyway, final Pokemon. You know I talked about grassy terrain. Well, we got the unburdened Pokemon itself, Drifblim. I wanted an unburdened Pokemon, but I didn't really have the point values or enough points to be able to pick up a good one. Plus, I had Urshifu, so mons like Hitmonlee, Sneasler, and Hawlucha couldn't really fit in unless I wanted a big fairy weakness. But Drifblim, on the other hand, can definitely do some things with the stored power boost that it's given. Because it can, obviously with grassy terrain, it gets a defense boost, which means it can definitely tank more hits with when I set up a Calm Mind and go stored power crazy. Or it can be a really nice defensive pivot with its ghost flying typing, which is a really unique typing that can definitely wall a lot of things that wouldn't normally be walled. For example, I'm trying to think. Ground normal. Ground normal typing get walled by Drifblim. So Ursaluna doesn't really deal with this thing well. But this thing can spread paras, it can spread burns, it can strike sap for recovery. This thing is just an all-around nuisance that I feel like lots of people aren't really going to be preparing for because it is a 5.1. But these aren't the only things we have going. We have two Terra Captains that I am excited to share, and they are Heatran and Glastrier. Which Heatran Terra is insane in my opinion, and then Glastrier is obviously a general Terra Pokemon that normally people have. But my Heatran can Terra into Grass, Ghost, and Fairy. Pretty standard Terra types defensively, I think, for a Heatran. Having something to block Rapid Spin is also having the ability to block out fighting type moves in general is really nice. All three of these is really offensive for Glastrier. Its defensive profile is enough that it doesn't really need a defensive type, but Water can be a nice defensive type. Electric is the epitome of offensive, and given stab to high horsepower, really, really, really nice. So there you have it. Sorry, there you have it. That is my team for this season of the Soul Doom Association, or the SDA. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all hopefully for the battles. Bye.